There are many video game companies out there in the world. Much like its artistic counterparts such as TV shows or books, foreign gaming adventures are easy and abundant to find. From Japanese dating sims that hot-blooded degenerates play to Chinese mobile games that, yes, your mom got scammed by in her recovering Candy Crush addiction. Normies may think that games only come from America and Japan. You got your animes and then you got your first-person shooters and story, but they come from all over the world. From Taiwan to Canada to Mexico to Iceland, come from everywhere. Case in point, Finland's Remedy, often praised for their storytelling, atmosphere, character, and world building. But for us to go over Remedy, we have to go back to the 90s. Remedy was formed back in the 90s, like I just said. The 90s were an amazing time for video games. There were great games for existing genres, and others were just getting started, like the stealth genre, which was just getting started with the release of Metal Gear and Thief, along with many franchises, directors, companies, and punching bags.
Bet that robot hauled butt after her.
Remedy was formed around this time. They were made up of many people from the development studio Future Crew. Future Crew was a group of nerds who made tech demos. This was pretty common as amateurs, studios, or video game creators would make demos to show off their talent and game tech. But now they were working on a full-length game, half-length game, Death Rally. I joked about it being its Remedy's first half-length game because I consider Max Payne to be their first full-length game, the first at least Remedy game, because Death Rally isn't really a Remedy game. You know, don't get me wrong, it's a fun arcade game, but if you're just getting into the Remedy studio, I wouldn't recommend you start with this. I would recommend you start with Max Payne, or maybe Alan Wake, or Control. It's still fun, and it still has a little bit of that Remedy charm. It only took a year to develop and was made in, yes, your mom's basement. Most of the people working on it were in their 20s. The racing is fun, although a little trash with the mouse and keyboard. And it's kind of interesting because this is around the time they got in contact with Sam Lake. You see, Sam Lake did all the writing for this game himself, because he was an amateur college student at this point. This is relevant because he would later go on to write or be involved with the writing of all of Remedy's games to this day. The writing does not take center stage here. It has some cheesy lines in there, but it's mostly just there for the gameplay. This game feels like a cute little indie game, not the first game of a major studio that would go on to publish one of the most influential games of the 90s. But this game is also worth mentioning because it put them in the eye of the studio's 3D Realms, a big name in the PC market for its time, and they would develop their biggest game yet with them, Max Payne, which is a great little title for a video game. It flows well, it sounds cool, it is iconic and easy to recognize, which is weird that it did not start out that way. Remedy threw out a ton of names for their would-be detective third-person shooter, from Dick Justice and Maxine. In fact, a lot of things were unfolding during development. They were actually considering making two other projects after the small-scale hit that was Death Rally, like a sequel to Death Rally and a space combat simulator. But 3D Realms, who had gotten in contact and was going to publish this game, recommended they focus on Dick Justice and put more focus on making a great main character, because 3D Realms had just come off the success of Duke Nukem, and they settled on Max Heat and changed the Heat to the much better Payne, and they were in business. They even got an office building. Things were looking up, and Remedy had grown a lot more from just the amateurs in their basement, in their mom's basement.
So that was a fucking lie.
That is only half true. They went from being amateurs in their mom's basement to being amateurs in a building. They had to build their entire engine for Max Payne, which is why development took 5 whole years. This is the second longest a Remedy game has taken to develop, second only to Alan Wake. You may have heard this before, but to save on time and money, they used comic panels instead of in-engine cutscenes. This let them remedy scenes on the fly and generally just looked cool. They had their artists fly to New York to take pictures of the sea underbelly for the game. They could not afford actors, so the roles had to be filled by co-workers, friends, and neighbors, like how Max, played by the head writer Sam Lake, in the main villain being played by, yes, his mom. This 5-year development cycle was filled with amateur passion, but also naive hardships. But for the most part, the development showed genuine talent that would hopefully shine through in the actual release. It did.
Time I backed the right man.
It was good. Remedy would not be in the position they are today if it was not. It was also surprisingly fun for a game released in 2001. Third-person shooters were just getting started, and the control of them were very different. A lot of games you would have to lock on due to controller restrictions. Max Payne stands out from these games for just how smooth it is. Max moves really fast, allowing the gunfights to have this fast-paced action to them. The bullet time mechanic is used well too. Many games have bullet time, but do not use it well. Bullet time in many games is used as a crutch to, oh no, I'm getting shot a lot. Oh, never mind, I am not. Bop, bop. But Max Payne uses it as a core mechanic. You feel really cool when you burst into the room, dodging shots while diving. The shoot dodge is wonderful. But make sure you click to make slow motion a different button. It's different from the shoot dodge. It just puts Max in slow motion while he's running. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of deaths, man. I don't know why they didn't make it a different button by default, but it's whatever. You can change it. The gameplay is generally really cool, but it has a few flaws, like how enemies come out of nowhere in this game. It happens way too often. For a game that's at its best when you're running and gunning and dodging shots, the game can be really stop and start when you're dying to a grenade that you would have had no way of seeing. This gets worse when enemies have grenade launchers that can instant kill you. Not only that, but Max also instantly gets up after a shoot dodge or a dive. This sounds like a small problem, but Max Payne is a really fast-paced game, and Max has a small health bar, meaning 2 or 3 good shots and Max is dead. He still has a great combat for a first-time developer. The healing system is really good too. When you take a painkiller, which is the healing item, you don't get all your health back immediately. It regenerates slowly over time. It creates this sense of dancing into danger that the rest of the gameplay creates at its best. And at its worst, it can be frustrating. Like, who at Remedy put 3 snipers, all with grenade launchers, in front of you with a straight shot that you have to run through? But Max Payne was not just praised for its innovating gameplay. Max Payne 1's story is really good, in part because Max is such a great character. I already said that 3D Realms recommended Remedy focus on a great main character, but unlike 3D Realms, they succeeded. Duke Nukem is a lame character, the hottest take of 2009. Max is a better character because of its knowing camp. Duke Nukem felt cool in its early 90s edge, but Max Payne feels timeless. The graphics may have aged, but its storytelling hasn't because of its comic panel styled cutscenes. People often poke fun of how cheesy the comic panels look, and don't get me wrong, they do look kinda cheesy, but there's also some great shots in there too. But yeah, there is a lot of cheese, like how Mona looks less like a femme fatale and more like Max's little sister. But this is also what makes the game so quotable. Max's dry sarcasm mixed with his ridiculous face and intricate metaphors during his narration is what makes the game great.
I'm Frankie the Bat Niagara.
Niagara, as in you cry a lot?
He had a phone begging for help. He should have been saying his goodbyes.
The game is a simple revenge story. Max's family gets killed, and Max goes undercover to bring the people to justice. They kill your friend. You literally kill the entire gangster population of New York several times over, and in the end, he gets his revenge along with a body count world record. But the thing is, Max's story includes many other characters in the world. Max's goal may be straightforward, but he is surrounded by morally great characters. In Retrospective's video, he calls the tanker chapter filler, but it introduces Vlad, one of the best characters in the series, and also shows his manipulation of Max. Vlad uses Max to kill one of Ponchimello's, and in turn he gives him like one gun. He still keeps his words and gives Max weapons. I don't think it was meant for him to just give him one gun, but it might have just ended up that way because of gameplay restrictions. He's also very friendly with him. Woden just seems like a regular, big, good conspiracy guy until you realize that he's not just helping Max because he needs to, because he has been blackmailed into silence, but also because he feels bad because he was the person who got Max's wife killed. He was also the one to send the file to his house, and that's why he got targeted by Nicole Horn, who killed his wife and child. It makes sense you would feel that, you know? And there are a ton of little details in the story like that, like how Max shot Jack Lupino multiple times after he died, because it is later revealed that the Valkyrie drug was meant to be used as a super soldier drug, and how a lot of the characters are references to Norse mythology, like how BB is Loki and Alex Balder, who dies at the beginning, is Balder. Get it? But Max gives the game consistency. The whole story is told from Max's perspective, with narration throughout the game. This is a noir staple, the inner monologue. I think it works well for video games because it does not need to interrupt the gameplay while giving characterization to the main character, unlike cutscenes. Max's dime store novel narration and metaphors are incredibly entertaining. The game is not all doom and gloom. The world may be dark and the main character may be broken, but there is also a decent amount of levity. The somewhat cheesy comic panels, Max's narration, while delving into incredibly intricate metaphors, can also be quite funny.
The thing I could take seriously was the thought of Lupino taking it seriously.
But it is still dark. Max's nightmare segments are still a little scary and atmospheric today. Hearing Max's The Story Baby cry is, kind of traumatizing. And Max never really gets over the death of his family. In fact, I would say he gains short-term satisfaction through killing the people that killed his family, but I would say he still feels guilty about it. Speaking of the ending, it's great. Max gets arrested for going on a rampage, and he sees Woden in the audience. Max says he has a feeling Woden will keep his promise because earlier in the game, he took the tape of him hooking up with a prostitute named Candy Dawn. Did you know you kill Candy Dawn in this game? Did you know you kill her? Weird. But the thing is, Woden does not know all this. All he knows is Max got arrested for killing Horn. In his mind, he does not have to get Max out, but he does it out of guilt, or maybe because he feels he owes Max for him going on his whole rampage for him. In conclusion, Max Payne's graphics may have aged a bit, but the storytelling and gameplay have not. Everything Remedy is known for is included in this game, from the emphasis on character and world building over the core plot to the imaginative worlds and story. The third-person shooter gameplay that has never really changed. It has flaws, but it overall is still a good time. I am a Zoomer. I played it recently. I have no nostalgia for this game, and I think it's very good. And the sequel is better. slightly. The original Max Payne 1 was a smash hit, selling about 5 million copies. This, coupled with its critical acclaim, prompted Take-Two to buy the rights to the series and request a sequel. The sequel development did not take as long as the first game, due to Remedy not needing to build a whole engine and also being less amateur. They already had an established framework for the game, for gameplay, and just needed to focus on story, improving the gameplay, and modding. Which is weird, since I've never heard of Max Payne 2 being a game that people mod a lot, so whatever. They also got actual professional actors for the game, so there is no more of Sam Lake's silly face, and no more little sister Rhoda Sachs. I'm gonna edit that out. They also added a physics engine too. The script for Max Payne 2 was much longer than the script for Max Payne 1. Max Payne 1's script was about 120 pages long, while the second is about 600. Keep in mind, the average film script is about 120 pages for a 2-hour film. Max Payne 2 is a little less than 5 times longer than the average film script, which is extra cool when you learn Max Payne 2 was developed and released in less than 2 years after the first game. The game was released on October 14th, 2003, to critical acclaim. It's not too much in the gameplay section. This will mostly just be a bunch of nitpicks and small things they improved, because overall, Max Payne 2's gameplay is mostly just an improved version of Max Payne 1's gameplay. You can shoot dodge with a pump-action shotgun and shoot twice. This is good because in the first and second game, it takes 2 bullets from that gun to kill an enemy in both games. And in the first game, you could only shoot the shotgun once while diving, and you want to shoot dodge because it looked so cool in that game. This resulted in me not using that gun that much in the first game. This was remedied in the second game. I also like how Max and Mona will not get up from a shoot dodge until you stop shooting. This caused a lot of deaths in the first game, which I said earlier, because if you did not kill an enemy in the first game while in a shoot dodge, there was a decent chance that they were going to kill you in the split second Max takes to get up, since the enemies did a lot of damage. They also made the bullet time and shoot dodge different buttons to default. Take that, Retrospective. He mentioned this in his second video. I am glad they changed this because I didn't die as much in the second game due to this. That may be because I didn't use bullet dodge that much, or the shoot dodge, because bullet time now speeds up every enemy you kill. This is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the Uzi sounds really cool when slowed down a lot, and the reload animation is really cool. But on the other hand, those dual Uzis I mentioned could gun down God if he had his back turned to you. This is a very overpowered ability by the late game when you're just clearing rooms with the slow motion. And it also makes the shoot dodge less useful than in the first game. Still looks cool, but I use it less. But there are also no more enemies coming out of nowhere, which makes the game a lot easier, and the physics engine is very impressive. Overall, the gameplay is improved for the most part, with a little bit of baby boy stumbling, but that was not the only thing they improved. They also improved the music by having more than 2 tracks. Granted, the main theme in the first game is iconic, but it is not just memorable because it slaps, but because it plays in every single cutscene. Granted, there are some variation and remixes, and it does sound cool and fits the setting and atmosphere of the first game, but it is still overused, and the action scenes are good, but a little overused too, a little forgettable. In the second game, they don't use the title theme for the comic panels for this game. This is tragic because it slaps. I prefer this game's main theme over the original. It includes more violins and less guitars, which makes it fit the noir atmosphere, and the extra violins are a good way to represent Max's life getting worse, and Max's life has gotten worse. A bit worse. Max Payne 2's story is a lot darker than the first one. Literally, they traded out the supernatural snow that was in the first game for a cliche noir rain. It's no okay change. I like how Max starts out super depressed. This makes sense in the universe because it was explained later that he's still sad his family is dead and not really having anything to live for. Like I said, he only gained a momentary satisfaction from getting revenge and killing his family. You can even find a voicemail left by Police Chief Bravura asking Max to come to AA with him.
Where are you? You're late again. Look, this insomnia crap isn't fooling anyone. I know what it's like. I just want to help. You should come to an AA meeting with me.
This is a nice little touch. This sounds depressing, which it is, but the game still has a lot of camp, cheese, and humor. The Neighbor of the Beast reference.
Hey!
NYPD. I need the code to the 7th floor door.
Sure. I know it. Wait. Oh, yeah. 667. Neighbor of the beast. Get it?
Yeah, I get it. The half-life of the lab rat had ended online. His password blinking on the screen. 665. Neighbor of the beast.
Those cheesy 90s TV shows that play on the TV. My favorite being Dick Justice, which pokes fun at the games and Max's character, Vinny Gognitti in a baseball bat suit. And speaking of the characters of Max Payne 2, has a lot of them. Most of the cast of great and ridiculous characters in the first game got by Max, but they used the few he did not kill and ones it was only implied he did. Gognitti appears, and he is just as great as in the first game. He drops actual F-bombs in this game, which bothers me because in the first game, he had like a big gangster aesthetic.
Vinny Gognitti. Just the man I've been killing to see.
Payne? Freaking fed! I knew from day one there was something screwy about you. What do you think you're doing? You're a freaking cop. You ain't got squad on us. You can't just come in here waving your piece like it meant something. Yeah! Oh my God! Oh God, you shot me! Ah! You're dead, Payne! What the hell are you waiting for, you apes? Kill him!
He is still the goofiest character in the game. He is waging a mob war against Vladimir Len and is losing badly. He eventually gets tricked by Vlad into putting on a Captain Baseball bat suit with a bomb in it, as Vlad is sending cleaners to his house to try and kill him. You have to escort Gognitti out of his house so he doesn't die. It is absolutely ridiculous. There are a lot more moving parts in this game compared to the first game. The first game had many charming characters and morally gray characters that would appear twice, then either Max would kill them or they would disappear. Only Max, Wood, Bavara, and Vlad live till the end. This time, there are less characters, but each is more involved. We already talked about Gognitti, who, gets blown up, but there are two others. The first of which is Mona, who survived the headshot from the first game. She, like many of the characters, got a redesign and actually looks like a femme fatale. She is Max's love interest. She is a good character and her relationship with Max is well developed. She is the person who knocks Max out of his depression and helps him throughout the game. I like the sniper section for this reason. It helps develop their relationship through the gameplay. Mona helps Max as he grows to trust her a little, as the player grows to trust her. She also, some of Max's deadpan snark.
Max, can't get a good shot from here. I'll have to backtrack through the building to get a better view.
It's not like I'm in a hurry.
Do you want us to crack jokes about it? Or do you want me to go?
Go!
Thought so.
She is also working for Woden in this game. There is a great part towards the end of the game where Woden tries to have Mona kill Max because he has become a liability, but she does not go through with it. Does this sound familiar? This should, because this is exactly what Nicole Horn did in the first game, and Mona refused both times and was shot both times. She's seen in the beginning framed as if she is standing up, but she is actually on the floor bleeding to death. This is well shot and pretty cool. It adds the beginning a bit of tragic irony. Let's talk about the other character in this game. Vlad is back, which is cool. The silly Godfather quoting gamester that helps Max in the first game is revealed to be the main villain of this sequel. This is obvious to the player, but it's not obvious to Max because he is busy with the Mona thing, and that he doesn't notice that the cleaners work for Kaufman, who works for Vlad. I like Vlad as a villain. Unlike Nicole Horn, who was trying to cover her tracks and didn't really get too much characterization, Vlad has a lot more character. He's completely justified in ending the mob war with Vinny, if in an over-the-top fashion.
It terminated Vinny's tragicomic existence with the push of a button.
Ouch. Poor guy. Poor bastard.
He's using cleaners to eliminate high-ranking officials in the inner circle, which is weird because I thought they all died in the first game except for Woden, but that may have just been officials that Woden disliked. Vlad is probably justified in disliking Woden. He does seem pretty shady, and Vlad is a part of the inner circle, so he would probably know. And Woden tries to kill Max. Has his group attack one of his businesses, so it looks like he's innocent. This gets one of his arms dealer killed, which he says he feels bad about.
Annie was a princess. They killed her for no reason.
He's probably lying. He lies many other times in the game, so why isn't he just lying here? He does seem to have his morals, though. Like how after Max shoots his girlfriend Winterson, who Max works with, he shoots Max because he shot Winterson. Maybe he really did love Winterson. Maybe he didn't. Winterson's death scene is also very well directed. In the end of the game, you fight Vlad in Woden's mansion. Vlad shoots Woden, and then you have a boss fight with him. The boss fight is pretty good. There's not much else to say. Just run around and shoot him. And Vlad's on top of a chandelier, and you shoot him. Different angles. It's kind of boring, but Vlad goes on this rant, and he asks Max, "Why are you helping Woden? I was supposed to be the hero." So because he's doing exactly what Max did in the first game, killing for somebody he loved, i.e. killing Max over killing Winterson, and getting revenge on the people who wronged him, i.e. killing Woden for wronging him. So maybe he is more complex than we think. And lastly, there is Max. Unlike the first game, this whole game doesn't revolve around Max. We still experience it through his perspective, but the game has more moving parts and more perspective and character. But keep in mind, this is still his story, and we're still experiencing the game from his perspective. Even the Mona section is just what Max thinks happened, and not what Mona actually did. And the ending shows this. While Max's internal monologue is not nearly as dark and dreary as Max Payne 3 per se, trash game, he's still very depressed, and the game shows that. But it feels like a fitting end that Max accepts what he has done and everything he's gotten himself into. It is a testament to Remedy's writing skills that the ending is still affecting to this day. It has not aged at all, unlike some of the cutscenes used in this game. It is bittersweet that Mona died, but she needed to so Max could accept what he's done and move on. Everyone from his past is dead now. Woden, Vlad, Godneedy, the Punchinellos, and his family. All he has to do now is move on, like Max says at the end.
I had a dream of my wife. She was dead, but it was all right.
Max Payne 2 is when Remedy really started to show what they could do. It shows their skill, their absolute mastery over storytelling and making pretty good games. Most game companies don't get to their tier of storytelling and make groundbreaking game mechanic that is used over years to come in their first 20 years, let alone in their first 2 games. Though there was some stumbling, Remedy's first 3 games are overall really solid and enjoyable to this day. Just Jesus Christ. Download the patches below if you want to play them on Steam. Don't make the same mistake I did. Do not make the same mistake I did.